Alright everybody, Reggie Edwards from the Front Row Report. I am joined tonight by Mark from Kill Devil Hill. Mark, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing great, my man.
Awesome, man. Thanks for taking time to talk to me. I really appreciate it, especially with it being the evening. I know it can be a little bit of a, wind down time, so I appreciate it, man.
The pleasure's all mine.
All right, man. The latest album, Revolution Rise, is we're removed from the release a little bit. It came out in October. Looking back on it, how are you feeling about the new album? I mean, for me, I think it kicks ass. It's a great follow-up to the debut.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think it's the next logical step. We took it to, a little bit higher level with this one, a little bit more time spent on the songwriting. On the first one, we kind of went in with what we had, and, basically it was kind of, trying to get her done quickly. We did the whole thing in, I think it was 4 weeks or something like that. Oh, wow. And this one, we had a lot more time with it. So it was great to spend a little bit more time on the writing and arrangement aspects and things like that. So I feel like it's a better representation of where we're headed.
Awesome. Yeah, it's like you said, it definitely, listening to it definitely represents the band in a great way. The first album is usually it's a great idea what to expect from the band. The sophomore album is really where the band can really come into their own and really show what they can really do. I think is the sophomore album. I think is what really measures a band's greatness, because the sophomore album is. That's what it's all about. It's either really good or really bad. It kind of makes or breaks a band and sets the tone, I think, for their career. So a little bit of a lineup change. Vinny's out, Johnny's in on drums. With the experience Johnny has with Typo and Danzig and other bands, kind of what does he add to the band? What was that process like for you guys bringing him in?
It was actually a really smooth process. I mean, I'd met Johnny before, and Rex has known him for years, and he was a really good fit personality-wise, musically. He's just been it's been really easygoing. He comes in really prepared. He came in really prepared, and we just got back from some shows over in Australia, and they went really smoothly, and it was a really good experience, and, just getting our legs together, with the new lineup, and, Johnny's a perfect fit. He plays a lot like Vinny did. They both from Brooklyn, both kind of with the same style, bringing the same style, and so it's really great to have him on board.
Was it tough to find kind of a new drummer to take that place? Was it a tough process to find to really bring him in, or was it something where a lot of bands I know somebody leaves and if you got somebody in mind right away, you'd be like, yeah, this guy might fit well. Let's give him a call, and it's pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, we had been thinking about what we might have to do, and to fill Vinny's shoes. I mean, obviously they're huge shoes, and Vinny's a legendary drummer, so it was kind of a big deal, and it kind of just fell in our lap. A mutual friend of ours, Black Label Dave, this guy who does security for a lot of bands, friend of ours, and mentioned him to us, and it was kind of really organic, supernatural how it all came together, and yeah, it was perfect. Couldn't have been better, actually.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see the new lineup. I'll be catching that at Rock on the Range next week, and we'll get to that in a minute. But going back to Revolution Rise, it was released maybe a year, less than 2 years after the debut, and with the way the industry is going now, touring, a lot of bands have to tour a lot heavier and a lot more often to really keep things going as compared to how it used to be. Was it tough to write and record an album that quickly after the debut, or was that a smooth process as well?
Well, we had a bunch of extra material from the first one. In fact, three of the songs, I think, were actually songs that didn't make the first record. So, we in our downtime, we continue to write and, kind of float ideas and demo stuff up and just kind of, throw wood on the pile until it comes time to light the fire, you know what I mean? And so basically, and even right now, we've got a bunch of stuff that's, sitting ready to go for a next project whenever we have the time to do that. Obviously, we want to get out and push this record. I mean, that's what it's all about right now is getting out there and introducing the fans to this music. We're a new band, regardless of whether we got name guys in the band or not. We've got to get out there and introduce people to what we're doing, and let them get to know us. You know what I mean? So that's what we're going to do. That's the plan right now. now, at least for the rest of this year. No plans to do a record right away or anything like that, but we got plenty more stuff where that came from. Plus, we continue, like I said, to write as much as possible during our downtime. I mean, it's what we do and what we love to do, so, we're never going to stop.
Awesome. It was also I believe the debut on Century Media. You guys signed with Century Media. Revolution Rise came out, not too long after that. What was the process of finding that new label and, really deciding on Century Media, which is an outstanding, that artist roster on that label you're in great company there, and they're a great label to work with on my end, but what really led you to go down that road?
Well, we were looking for a label. We had done the first record through SPV, and there had been some, roadblocks with that. It got a little labor-intensive trying to deal with, an overseas record label, and there are a lot of things that I would never have even thought could come in between the label and the band, just because of the distance and all of what has to go on between international stuff that goes on. Anyway, long story short, Century Media, Rex had some connections that basically hooked all that up, and having the opportunity to get with them, once we got to know them a little bit and saw that it was going to be a good situation for us, it's been a godsend. Having a label that's behind you, that wants to put your music out there and basically feature you as an artist is really huge nowadays. I mean, nowadays it's such a do-it-yourself industry that having a label like that with a great roster, like you mentioned, behind you is, you can't even, there's no way to overstate the value of that.
Yeah, definitely. Having a good label, it's either you're with a good label, or you might as well be on your own these days, because a lot of labels won't do anything now, and there's the labels that will do everything, and it can go both ways. But Century Media is, like you said, you're in great company there, and it's a great label, and I think that Revolution Rise is the perfect record to release as the label debut. It definitely encapsulates everything Kill Devil Hill is all about, I think, just listening to it, and it's a great album. So later this month, actually starting next week, we got the festival season starting up, and one of the busiest times of the year, regardless of what end of the industry you're on. We got Rock on the Range and Rock Oklahoma, which you guys are playing both of this year, which is going to be awesome. But with Kill Devil Hill still in kind of the early stages of your career, how important are festivals like Rock on the Range and Rock Oklahoma to kind of the success of the band?
Well, I mean, getting in front of larger audiences is really where it's at for us. Like I said earlier, it's all about getting in front of people, when you're a new band. So if we get the opportunity to get in front of a bunch of people at Rock Oklahoma and Rock on the Range, then that just, speeds up our process, you know what I mean? Instead of, maybe a few hundred people at a club, maybe we get in front of a few thousand out there, if we're lucky. So that's what we're hoping for, and the more we can do that, the better. We're going to try and stay out, like I said, the rest of the year and just road dog it, you know what I mean? Just keep rocking and rolling and kicking ass, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you guys are actually kicking off Rock on the Range. You're the first band on the first day at Rock on the Range next week, and that can be a tough spot to play. 11, 12 o'clock, in the afternoon, everyone's showing up. Do you find that you have to maybe put a little bit extra into those sets and performances to really win the crowd over sometimes?
I don't know, man. You know what? Honestly, we're just going to get up there and do what we do. We're going to rock just as hard at noon as we will at midnight. So either way is fine with me.
Awesome, man. Man, Mark, thank you so much for taking time tonight. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to Rock on the Range next week, meeting you guys in person, catching the set. It'll be my first Kill Devil Hill show and set I've ever seen, and really looking forward to it. And can't wait to catch up with you guys there.
All right, look forward to it too. Thank you so much.
Awesome, man. Take it easy.
Yep, take care. See you, Rick.